Hello and welcome to the trade setup. In this video we are looking at silver. It is time for another update, and it seems we have managed to form some extensions within the small time frame, so we will update that today, of course. Now, the overall expectation hasn't changed, but I believe it is extremely important to track this small time frame as it can provide evidence for an early breakout. Now, for context, for any of you who might be new, here on this chart we have been tracking this idea of a large diagonal structure where currently we would still be within the wave 3. So we would be tracking an ABC pattern in said wave 3, and within the wave C we would be looking still for one additional high before having a more clearly full pattern, in my opinion, right? Now, for this interpretation, we actually need to hold $57.6. If this happens to break in a sustained manner, we will have to dismiss this scenario and we'll have to look for other structures that could allow extensions. And let me tell you, they are possible. Yeah, it is generally difficult to turn bearish on such a strong uptrend, and it wouldn't be ideal from my opinion, but it could also imply a substantially larger correction in this current development. Now, with our present expectations, we are looking to build an ABC pattern in this area. And of course, we are looking generally to reach the ideal target for the wave C, which is the 100% extension of the wave A. In the case of this pattern, this sits around $51. Now, this is an ideal target. It doesn't need to get there. Oftentimes, it stops around the 78.6% extension, which is very much in line with our last level of support at $57.6. And I don't see any reason to worry too much about this currently. I believe the current formation is healthy and within our expectations. And if you want to be a part of this journey as we continue to track all of these opportunities on the chart, I would encourage you to subscribe, as silver is one of our most covered assets at the moment. Now, in this structure, we are looking to build a 5-wave pattern in the wave C. That is the general expectation. And unless we get some stronger evidence that a wave C wouldn't be able to form the 5-wave pattern, this will be our primary expectation. So in this structure, we had an area of resistance for the wave 4. We are looking at up to $77.9 for a reversal to form and one additional low in the wave 5. If we manage to get a sustained break above this level, it would be rather a strong signal that this structure would have been able to form a more substantial bottom within probably an entirely different correction. Yeah, something like a WXY structure, which can happen at times, but I will not just assume that. I will be looking for evidence, and for me, evidence looks like breaking the 61.8% retracement. And currently in this correction, we seem to be doing everything perfectly. We have formed our initial push to higher prices into the 38.2% retracement. We got rejected. Yeah, we had this larger correction. We didn't even manage, unfortunately, to create the initial 5-wave move to the upside in this region, as we were looking at this to have been a potential trade setup. Even within an ABC structure, if we had the 5-wave move, it could have provided a decent setup. Now, this didn't happen. We have even broken the area of support. If we go here on the small time frame, we can notice this more clearly to have been a rather sustained break. And what I can really consider right now to be going on as the primary expectation is simply to have had a 3-wave move in a wave A, to have had here a wave B correction, and then this would be expected to unfold as a wave C. Now, in this expectation, we would have normally looked for the retracement to have reached at least the 38.2% retracement. Of course, quite easily visible, this hasn't been a problem. We have pushed into our support zone and we have formed the reversal. Now, the focus sits here on this continuation to higher prices, this supposed wave C, and let's even label this, why not, to have a more visible expectation. And within this wave C, we are going to look for a 5-wave pattern. And quite easily, I can track this as a wave 1. Yeah, this should be quite apparent, quite clear. This a wave 2, and for the wave 3, I am actually quite open to look for even further extensions. I am currently considering the possibility of having an internal impulse in this structure, but it is certainly on the edge here. I wouldn't be too trusting of this, and I would be prepared for a more substantial top within this wave C in orange to be formed within one more high after such a significant correction especially. Now, in terms of support, we can track some ideas, but let me change the degree here momentarily. And in this structure, I am looking for a retracement in an internal wave 4 in this area down to the 50% retracement. If we break below that level of support, I would likely need to expect that this wave 3 had already formed the top here, that we would be looking for a larger wave 4 correction, within an ending diagonal in the wave C, which is not a preference for me at the moment, as within a wave 1, I would prefer to track this as a 5-wave pattern. And in that assumption, I would need to track an impulse within this wave 3, and within my current expectations, I would still be looking here to build something like a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And within this expectation, we would have reached already the 38.2% retracement in the current wave 4, which is the ideal target. Ideally, the wave 5 is already forming, and once we have a top within this wave 5, we could be looking yet for another wave 4 correction and another wave 5, potentially even still within this overall wave 3. Now, there are a few things to notice here. If we are to follow through within this idea of an impulse, we can pretty safely expect to actually break the area of resistance, because we would be looking for several additional highs, like 3 additional 4-5 patterns only within this wave 3 alone. If we then get a large wave 4 and another wave 5, I could very easily see the last level of resistance up to $77.9 taken out. And if that becomes a sustained break, I could see that become a more reliable signal that a bottom would be in place. Now, overall, from a larger time frame perspective, the expectations don't really change. A wave C would still have the ideal target at the 100% extension of the wave A that sits at $76.7. And again, I cannot even rule out the possibility of having here something like a WXY pattern, in which case we could form a top within the formation of this wave 3 alone in an internal ABC structure, right? It's not ideal, but we do need to be prepared for less than ideal structures, especially within such small time frames, especially since within the larger structure we quite clearly would prefer one more low. We would prefer to form a top within this wave 4, and we would prefer to form a wave 5 bottom. Once we form a top within the current movement to the upside, I would consider it sufficient for this to have been the actual wave 4 top. I do consider the proportions to be acceptable for such a correction at that point, but right now I would still prefer to extend to higher prices, at least within the smaller time frame, at least with one more substantial high. And the signal for me that this would fail would be to break here the overall 61.8% retracement for this entire movement to the upside, in the unlikely idea of an ending diagonal within this wave C. And for that, I would be watching the $70.4 level. But again, this is within an unlikely structure. I may find a break of an internal area of support to probably be a more valuable signal. Here internally, the $71 level in the area of a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5 in a wave C in this structure. From the smaller time frame perspective, this would actually end up being an even more valuable signal. It would just not be the last level of support we could be tracking for this overall movement to the upside. Now again, in the ideal structure, we actually form an impulse here in a wave C, and we form a reversal from that point. We could also be looking for some structural resistance, but beyond what we have already pushed into here at the 50% retracement, where we have gotten our most recent rejection, we can consider to have some here around $76.7, which has been the 100% extension of the wave A, the ideal target for the wave C. But beyond that, there isn't much, and I would focus primarily on the 61.8% retracement. And for now, these are the levels, this is the trade setup. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and if you enjoy our content and want to support us directly, check out our channel membership. And as a thank you for any of these actions, I would like to invite you to sign up to our channel newsletter, where you get access to our monthly top picks, readily available, or upcoming opportunities. The link is in the description and it is completely free. And for now, I wish you a great day and take care. Bye bye.